move on to question 7, May 2023. Prenatal testing is used to screen for genetic disorder in developing embryos. PKU is one genetic disorder that is screened for by parental testing. This disorder is inherited in a similar way to cystic fibrosis, so it's recessive, of course. Explain why a healthy couple might choose to have a prenatal test for PKU. Draw a genetic diagram and answer. Okay, so we just need to show off a simple crossover of the genetic, and as it says, gains. The disorder is inherited in a similar way to cystic fibrosis, so of course it is gained by recessive allele. Okay, like this AA. This is the disease one. Okay, so a simple crossover I have given it. PKU equals to AM. So the mother and father, they are carriers, and it shows a simple cross among them. Okay, so they produce, the probability of disease is 0.25%. Okay, it's the probability. Among the 4 baby, 1 is diseased. Both parents could be heterozygous for the disease, therefore there is a probability of 0.25% for the baby produced to be diseased, homozygous, recessive. Okay. Question B, 7B. A group of women who had recently given birth to healthy babies were asked about their opinions on screening for 4 different genetic disorders, A, B, C, and D. They were asked 3 questions about each disorder. Why they be screen themselves with a blood test? Would they have amniocentesis to screen for the genetic disorder? Would they have a pregnancy termination abortion if an unborn child was found to have the genetic disorder? The graph shows the percentage of women who said yes to each question for each disorder. Okay, the percentage of women saying yes to the question of disorder A, disorder B, disorder C, and D. Blood test, amniocentesis, and termination. Okay, so the trend overall shows that like similar percentage said yes in disorder A, B, C, and D for blood test because it is less risky and everyone can just do it. But it shows fall when it but it shows a fall in case of amniocentesis in all the disorders because it has a risk of abortion. And for the termination there are many fluctuations in the graph. You can see as for termination, disorder A have more yes, and C and B are comparatively less than A and D, right? So let's see. The table gives some information about each of this genetic disorder. Genetic A, B, C, and D, their disorders and the explanations. Muscles are weak and movement is difficult. Symptoms can be managed. Some types are lethal in childhood. It's quite risky. That's why I see the genetic disorder for A, they have more abortions. Like they are ready for the termination. Treatable does not shorten life expectancy. Treatable, most individuals live in child into adulthood. So B and C, they are treatable, so their percentage of women saying yes to the termination are quite low. Intellectual disability medical care result in individual leading healthy lives. Intellectual diversity, not everyone is like ready to take the risk for the baby, I guess. That's why more of no, more of yes for the termination. So discuss the response to these three questions. So in the question of marks is six actually. You just need to describe the complete, like whatever I said over here, completely in your own words, trust me. And if you just can give all the points and write all these things perfectly, it's easy to gain mark. It's easy, but don't waste too much time on this type of question because you might lose more marks in the short questions. Okay, so as it's a question of 6 marks, you can hardly spend kind of 10 minutes over here, but not more than even 10 minutes is more for 6 mark. So time management is really important during the exam. Okay, you need to manage it properly, otherwise you're going to lose even these marks and the marks in the short question as well. Okay, so let's see the answers as I have just discussed it already. For the blood test, blood test, most women would have a blood test, yeah, because it's less risky. Similar percentage for all four disorders, probably because it would not harm the unborn child. But some women may not want to find out if their baby have a genetic disorder. Yeah, a correct one. Yes, a correct one. It would not take into account the genetic disorder of the father. Yes, because amniocentesis. About two-thirds of the women said they would have amniocentesis because it's quite risky and not everyone is willing to do that. Similar percentage for all four disorders. Fewer women said yes to the question, then agreed to have a blood test. Yeah, probably because they wanted to find out if the unborn child was affected so they could make a decision on whether to keep the unborn baby or not. The more debilitating the disease, the more women prepare to take the risk of amniocentesis causing an abortion. Amniocentesis can cause abortion of the unborn child, and some women must have felt that this was too great a risk, unethical. Amniocentesis can give false negative and false positive result. It's not totally accurate. Okay, and in case of termination, fewer women say that they would have a termination than were prepared to have the other procedures. Fewer said yes to disorder B and C than A and D because B and C are treatable. More women say that they would have a termination if disorder A was diagnosed, as this can be lethal. The more debilitating the disease, the more likely the women were to have a termination because do not want their child to suffer. See the answer basically is from the question itself. You just need to analyze the data and write what you understand from that with your own points, and some extra points are given like the ethical part or the part you just need to like. It's just a matter of common sense sometimes, to be honest.